In the bitter winter of 1947, the United States government assembled a covert expedition to Antarctica. The official narrative spoke of scientific research, but those within the intelligence community whispered of something far more sinister. Reports from the end of the Second World War suggested that remnants of the Nazi regime had fled to the frozen continent, carrying with them technology and knowledge stolen from the Reich's most secretive programs. It was said that the Nazis had built an underground base beneath the ice, a final redoubt where unspeakable experiments had taken place. Dr. Samuel Carter, a renowned archaeologist and historian, was recruited for the mission alongside an eclectic team. Dr. Evelyn Hayes, a brilliant biologist, Captain James Holloway, a hardened military officer, Sergeant David Connors, a demolitions expert, and radio operator Henry Price. Their objective was simple: locate the Nazi remnants, retrieve any classified material, and ensure that no threat emerged from the icy depths of the unknown. The USS Valor, a reinforced icebreaker, cut through the frozen waters, battling the elements as it neared the desolate expanse of Queen Maud Land. A sense of unease settled over the crew as they approached the coordinates provided by declassified German documents. The location corresponded to an area rumored to be the site of Base 211, the fabled Antarctic refuge of the fleeing SS officers. After days of relentless travel, the team set up camp near a jagged crevasse that split the landscape like a gaping wound. The frozen winds howled around them, carrying whispers that seemed almost human. Strange markings were discovered on the ice, symbols not of German origin, but something older, something far more alien. Dr. Carter meticulously documented them, cross-referencing them with ancient runes and occult symbols rumored to have fascinated Heinrich Himmler. It wasn't long before they discovered the entrance to an underground structure. Hidden beneath layers of ice was a massive iron door, partially buried but still intact. Carved above it was the emblem of the Nazi Ahnenerbe, the organization dedicated to occult and pseudo-archaeological research. "This place has been sealed for a reason," muttered Dr. Hayes, her breath fogging in the frigid air. Despite her warning, Captain Holloway gave the order to breach the entrance. With a controlled detonation, Connors cleared the way, revealing a dark passage that led into the depths of the unknown. Descending into the icy labyrinth, the team's torches flickered against metallic corridors, preserved in the eternal cold. The facility was vast, lined with rusted equipment and shattered glass. The air was thick with decay, as if something had rotted here despite the cold. "Mein Gott," Price whispered, his voice barely audible. Inside one of the rooms, they found containment chambers, some shattered, some eerily intact. Within one, they saw the grotesque remains of something that was once human, but had since become something else. Elongated limbs, misshapen skulls, eyes too large for their sockets. Dr. Hayes clutched her notebook. These mutations, they were experimenting on people, but this isn't just genetic tampering. This is something unnatural. Further exploration led them to a chamber filled with ancient tablets, some inscribed with the same symbols they had seen outside. In the center of the room lay a massive slab of black ice, and within it, something moved, something alive. Despite the overwhelming sense of dread, Dr. Carter pressed forward, brushing away the frost from the slab. The ice seemed to pulse beneath his touch, as if it recognized him. "This predates the Nazis," he murmured. "They found it, but they didn't create it. This is something much older." Captain Holloway ordered the team to retrieve as much documentation as possible, intending to destroy the rest. But before they could proceed, the ice cracked. A deep, guttural sound echoed through the chamber, reverberating through the steel walls. The thing inside the slab began to stir. Panic set in as the team realized what they had done. The chamber trembled, and the ice burst apart, releasing a towering creature. A grotesque amalgamation of shifting forms, its body pulsing with unnatural fluidity. Its eyes, if they could be called that, glowed with an otherworldly hunger. "Run!" Holloway shouted, but it was already too late. The horror descended upon them with impossible speed. Connors was the first to fall, his body twisted into something unrecognizable. Price attempted to radio for help, but his screams were cut short as tendrils lashed out, dragging him into the darkness. Dr. Hayes and Dr. Carter barely managed to escape, retreating through the corridors as the base began to collapse. Captain Holloway fired round after round into the monstrosity, buying them time, but even bullets seemed useless against it. They reached the surface, where the storm had intensified. The ground trembled as the ruins of the base caved in, swallowing whatever abomination had been unleashed. Only Holloway failed to emerge, his last words drowned by the wind. Days later, the remaining survivors were picked up by the USS Valor. They had little to report, only that the base had collapsed, and whatever Nazi secrets lay beneath had been lost forever. But Dr. Carter knew better. In his satchel, he carried one of the tablets. Its inscriptions burned into his mind. He could still hear the whispers in the wind, a voice older than mankind itself. Antarctica had not merely been a refuge for the defeated. It had been a prison, and they had set something free. As the ship departed the icy shore, Dr. Carter could not shake the feeling that something watched them from beneath the ice, waiting, biding its time. The expedition had uncovered the past, but in doing so, they had doomed the future.